Curiosity, I actually have a watermelon getting ready, as in it's in the fridge. So once I finish with this pasta, man, I'm gonna get some watermelon. Pozdrav, brate, kako je? Hello, hello. Macy, you've been watching since day 100. Wow. That's something, man. A lot of life has gone by since that day. A lot of life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, saunas comes and goes, Mason. Yeah, like for instance, after yesterday, I don't know if you saw what I did yesterday, but hard session, a PR. So this morning I wake up and my mid back is sore, glutes are sore, but it's not like the soreness that you feel when you do something that you're not ready for, like a new exercise or crazy amount of increase in volume or something like that. It's not that type of soreness. It's like a soreness like if I do this, I feel like it's gonna cramp, that kind of thing. Like it's really really tight. I'm kind of like, I feel like there's a fog over me. You can probably tell like by my voice, like I feel drained. I feel like I've wrestled a freaking bear. That's what it feels like when I get sore. But yeah, and obviously the next 2 days are gonna be not compound lifts. So obviously I'll still squat, work up to 140 today for 5. And then I'll do some like barbell rows or something like that. But yeah, I literally like clenching my fist is hard. Like I don't have that drive. I'm still kind of like sleepy in a way, like foggy, like hungover. Like hungover. I think that's a pretty universal feeling. Yeah, Mackie. Yeah, 180 for 9. It's a crazy figure now, and it's good. It's good to feel that. Like 180 for 1 was such a constant in the journey for such a long time. It was it was something that I was happy to hit for 1 on the day. Now for 9 means like I'm manhandling this weight now. All those bad days that are strung together, maybe they meant something. Maybe it wasn't a whole waste of time while I was dealing with the hip pain and whatever. And it's almost like when you're eating, right? Like eating, you got a bad tooth. You eat, and then it hits the bad tooth, like, oh, it hits the pain, just shoots you. You still eat, but every time you go back to that sore tooth, it really kind of like screws you over hard. The hip pain was kind of like that, like sometimes you would land on that tooth or land on that hip pain and bang, shoot you straight back to like lesser weights. So yeah, it feels good, man. Well, I'll keep pushing it. I really want that, 180 for 10. That's gonna be a surreal feeling. It's gonna feel complete, and then I'll continue to push. The Mega the Heart, how you going, man? Yeah, I don't really know what my one rep max is. I really don't. Like, if you put those calculators, they say something like 230. I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't say 230, but I would like to think at least 215. At least I have a freaking PR in me for one rep max. So even the calculators say 232 or whatever the hell it was, 231. Some people are saying, you got 220 in you, 225 or whatever. But dude, I reckon I'll go 215. I reckon there's progress there. I reckon I've done something, and I'm not done yet. I'm not done. I'm gonna keep pushing the 180s. Once that work capacity gets in, there was some comments on yesterday's video that were saying like, that's not even a real set. You're taking too long between reps. And I don't really know what these people are talking about, whether actually they train themselves or they're just trolls or whatever, but or whether they've actually tried doing an AMRAP set with like 80% weight, resting at the top. It's not actually resting. That rest is not actually rest. Just holding that weight on top of you it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Everything is working. So just to be able to survive, let's just say, survive under 180 kilos for 2 minutes, just holding that weight. That's something. I don't know, get 80% of your, if you don't want to do the hard work like this, just take 80% of your weight and just walk it out and hold it for 2 minutes. I guarantee you're gonna be freaking uncomfortable. It's gonna be hard. So it's not, AMRAP sets are not easy. I don't know what those people were talking about, to be honest with you, man. Like, and there was a few guys there that said, back when I hit 250 squat, one guy said my 180 for max was 12. So you can see, right? You can see there are guys out there who, it's a nice correlation, right? If you hit 180 for freaking more than 10 reps, you're probably going to be squatting more than 210 on your one rep max. That's the bottom line of our assumption. So we can just say that, for sure. So when you're seeking to see, projections and whatnot, just know that I'm stronger than before. Daniel, DV, what's going on, guys? Anastasios. Oh, deep question, Anastasios. I don't track my calories at all, man. Yeah, 300 still to go. Whether it's possible or not, let's go for 300. What did we do last time? Oh shit, you're gonna make me do it again. All right, I'm going back to the one rep max calculator, right? So it's not gonna be accurate, whatever, I don't really care. Let's just, for the sake of fantasy, if we put 180 for 30, shit, okay. So 180 for 30 will get you a 360 kilo squat. Let's go 180 for 30. There you go, for 20. So if you get a squat that is 180 kilos for 20 reps, this calculator, as crazy as it is, says 300 kilo is the squat. So for shits and giggles, right? Let's just push towards 180 for 20, and then we'll see what my potential is on the 1 rep max. Probably not 300, but to me it's like, okay, it seems to be more doable for me to get 180. To get 180 for 20. So I'll continue to do that, push for that, and then let's see where I'm at. My guess is if I can get 180 kilos for 20, I mean this calculator says I've got 300 kilo squat. I would say I've got a 250 kilo 1 RM. I think, to be conservative, like I don't know if people realize how difficult it is to hit 180 for 20. Like that is an exceptional amount of work capacity and strength. You need to understand that every rep that you do in a set, you're getting weaker and weaker as you go along because you have less potential in your body to move that weight. So in order for you to move a certain weight for lots and lots of reps, like 20 reps, that means you need to have a huge reserve to be able to make that. And it's not just an aerobic reserve. You need to understand that we don't lift weights aerobically, especially at that weight when it's heavy. It's anaerobic effort. So your muscle needs, on that first rep needs to be like a freaking 50%, or 60% of your max velocity, because with each rep that you go on, the perceived exertion is going to go up and up and up and up. So this is where like the rep work comes in. Obviously, the longer you go, the more aerobically it becomes, relevant. I don't know why a lot of people, it seems to be like the new age thinking, people don't respect the high reps. I don't know whether that's Mark Ripito or what that is. Everyone's like 1, 2, 3 reps. 1, 2, 3 is strength training. Everything else is cardio. I couldn't disagree more, man. Like I don't know where this comes from. I don't understand why people are so. I mean, I was one of those guys as well, thinking that I can just hit singles until the cows come home every single day and expect my single to increase. What we fail to realize is that it is very, very hard to get all fibers of a muscle firing on 1 rep. Our body, our legs are so inefficient as in moving our joints around, that there are like a million different fibers in our legs. And when you try to move, you're only using a small percentage of them. The only way you can get like full upper echelon, threshold fibers to shoot, all of them to shoot, is to use a lot of reps. So when you do a set of 50, all of the fibers are getting called in, because with each rep, one fiber is getting more fatigued than the other, and then eventually you'll have full coverage. But this is where rep work becomes really, really important, because you're using the entire spectrum of those fibers. That's kind of how it is, man. Yeah, there you go. Mikkel says 250, 260. If you can, if you can get 180 for 20, your squat is around 250, 260. I think that would be a safe bet as well. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. How many of us are prepared to do a set of 20? How many? How many of us have the mental strength to do a 20 rep max? How many? The truth of the matter is it's frightening. I'll tell you. Yesterday, before I got to the bar for 180, I was nervous. I was anxious. I was. It's not because I'm scared of the weight. It's because I'm scared of myself. I'm scared of myself because I know I'm going to push hard. I know I'm not going to give up easy. And that thought, I know myself very, very well. That thought means that I'm going to go down some dark alleys of pain coming up. And that's where the anxiety comes from. Like there is an impending shit train of discomfort coming my way. And that's where the anxiety is. When you're doing 1 rep max, when you're doing little singles training, doubles, triples, it's a very short-lived thing. And so you think to yourself, I can survive this. It's not going to go for long. But with AMRAPs, who's to know how long I'm going to be there? Who's to know? So it's going to, like, I think yesterday's set took a minute. 1 minute to get 9 reps. So it's heavy, hard work. It's you know, that's why a lot of people are like, oh, look, 5 reps is all right. 5 reps is all right. And a lot of you guys were saying, like, why don't you just, you know, once you hit 10 reps with 180, why don't you go to 85 or 190 and then, you know, hit 5 again and then work your way to 10 again. And then once you hit that for 10 reps, then you go down, or do you go up to the next increment, the next increment. And so people are like, you should always be between 5 and 10 reps. The reason I don't want to do that is because you get into a, you know, like if you know anything about programming, what I've just said, you know, incrementing weight so you can always be between the 5 and 10 rep range. What you're essentially doing is you're training one phase of training, let's say strength training. But when you start to spill over those 10 reps and you start to go into like 12 reps, 15 reps, then you start to use other phases. Then you start to go into like proper hardcore hypertrophy. And a lot of people can be like, oh, but what's the point of hypertrophy? You don't need to do hypertrophy. You're interested in strength. I beg to differ. Purely just by doing this, by having a range where you go from 5 to 20 over the following year, 6 months, whatever it takes me to get from 180 kilos for a set of 5 to 180 kilos to a set of 20, whatever that range is, you're going to be essentially linear periodizing in a way, right? You're going from a 5 to a 20. And let's say you get to 180 for 20, and on that day, I'll go to myself, okay, this is the limit now. I'm going to go down to 200 kilos. I'm going to increase the weight to 200 kilos and then go down to 5. So what are we doing here? Like if you were to graph that is linear periodization in a way, using a different method. So you've got a strength block, and then you're kind of bleeding towards a hypertrophy block. And then once you hit an arbitrary goal that you've set yourself, boom, it triggers the program. You have reached a certain performance level, boom, you go down to 5s, and then you work up again. So instead of having like just a time limit, let's say 12 weeks, like that's what linear periodization usually is. And after you hit the time limit of 12 weeks or whatever, every 4 weeks you're in a different phase, you know, you're using time, weeks, the calendar as your regular trigger for the next phase of training. You're using performance. And that to me is sexier. That to me is a lot better than just being like, okay, it's been 4 weeks, let's go to the next weight or the next set of reps, rep ranges or whatever. Nah, I want to go performance-based. Once I hit a certain level of performance, then you go back. And that doesn't mean that you have to die to get there. You auto-regulate, right? So if yesterday felt really, really shit, and I can't muster the 4th and the 5th rep barely, cool, call it there. In 3 days' time, I'll try it again, right? But it's not like a rigid programming structure where time is impacting me so severely that it's not allowing me to live. No, there's going to be oscillations in your life continuously, and you have to somehow accommodate that. And for me, performance is great, right? Like I've always talked about that, auto-regulation. If I rock up today and everything's freaking killing me, but the program says 5x5 at 140, fuck that, man. I ain't doing it. I ain't ready, man. So I'm going to hit 140 for 1 if I have to, right? And piss off. And so over a long period of time, I'm going to go, okay, once I hit 180 for 20, it's time to click. Okay, and it's not because I'm not ready for 190 for 5 or 200 for 5 or 210 for 5. I'll probably be ready for those weights long. But no, I want to spend some time hitting 15s, 16s, 17s with 180. Because think about it. A body that can hit 180 for 20, what does that look like to you? What does that body look like to you? Think about the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys. What does that body look like? Right? That looks like somebody that is fit, not just strong, but fit. That is a fit individual. There's no other way. Like, you can't be, going through such heavy workload, breathing hard, blood pressure regulation, heart rate regulation, all that stuff, and not be ready for that. That is a lot of work. And so to me, it's like, it's attracting me because I would like to see that body of mine, a 180 for 20, what that looks like. And once I reach that, then I can go back to a strength block again. So it's like a gradual, auto-regulated, performance-based periodization in a way, which fits my crazy lifestyle of shift workers and whatnot. This is so good, man. This is like the third time I'm eating this meal. Wifey made it last night, yesterday for lunch. I didn't eat it when I go home. Straight to basketball, come back from basketball, eat, nap, 180 for 9, eat, sleep, wake up, eat, same thing. Freaking awesome. Materaci 7, pozdrav iz Kragujevca. Pozdrav, kako je? You guys are arguing about something, you know? Oh, yo, I do intermittent fast. Yeah, man. Once again, not every day. But when I do a night shift, like got a night shift coming up, I have like so once a week I do a night or two. And on those days, my life goes into chaos. So I usually fast around 16 hours, probably, around that period. So once a week, I have a 16-hour fast, essentially, at minimum. I'm Australian, man. I'm an Aussie, born in Croatia. So I speak Yugoslavian, let's say. I call it Yugoslavian. So I'm a Serbian that moved to Australia when I was 9. So that's probably where my accent is from. But also I've watched a lot of American sport, mainly NBA. So during those formative years, I heard English from the Aussies and I heard English from the Americans. And maybe that's where the confusion for some people is. It's like, oh, dude, like, where are you from? Yeah. Yeah, man. Jokic all the way. Oh. So, you're talking about like my favorite player ever? My favorite player ever is Jordan, right? I've never seen anyone more, beautiful at playing basketball than Jordan, like spectacular. The reason why I like Jokic so much, obviously the connection where he's from, that's one. And two, what I love about him is that he plays basketball how I think basketball should be played. And that's, your best player is your best passer, playmaker. I love when the offense is run through the high post, through the post in general, when there's a big man that can kind of like dictate. I think it's beautiful movement around the guy. He's an incredible passer. I don't think I've seen a passer like that ever. I think he's one of the best passers to ever live. Along with LeBron James and Magic and all these guys, but as a big man, not in my time, I've never seen anyone better. I don't know, man. I don't even have an intuition of like what the average, like I would have to work it all out. I don't know. I don't know how many calories I consume. Like this plate is a shit ton, right? So I'll eat this now, and I won't eat anything until like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It's 10:30 now. So I usually get 2-3 meals a day. So it's, the heavy calorie meals when I eat them, but then I have long periods of nothing, and I don't snack. So I think that's how I go about it. It's not a huge amount of calories, man. When you eat too much, you feel shit. That's the other thing. I remember when I was years and years and years ago, man, I had this like crazy period of 3 months where I just went vegetarian, and not just vegetarian, but I went like tiny calories. I wasn't really training that much. I was studying for the GAMSAT. I wanted to become a doctor at the time, and lots of this type of stuff, sitting down, reading, studying, all that stuff. And I thought to myself, let me try, something different. And so when I went to vegetarian and I stopped eating as much, my focus was longer. I could study better, all that stuff. But like when you're constantly eating, you're always going through these like highs and lows, the highs and lows and highs and lows, and you can't freaking, like I fall asleep at the book, man. Like I can't read the textbooks anymore. So when you wake up in the morning, you eat something light, like a vegetarian meal, and it has a low glycemic index, like it releases the energy slowly. There's clarity. You don't have that highs and lows. There's like constancy, and you're not hungry. You just go on and on and on and on and on. Now, I wasn't training at the time, and so like I wasn't exerting myself to this extent. I'm not a big fan of eating, as crazy as that sounds, because you get sluggish. Like after this meal, I'm tired as it is, and after this, I feel I want to go back to bed again because it's so heavy, so heavy. But that's kind of what you have to do if you're gonna train like a maniac. If you're gonna train very, very hard every day, you can't survive on freaking vegetables, man. You can, but you need to be an expert in understanding dietary intake and sources of nutrients and whatever. At the time when I did the vegetarian, I wasn't very well versed in anything. I basically watched, I'll tell you the full story. I watched that Knives Over Forks doco, and I was shocked. I'll be honest with you, I was shocked how we treat animals, and I was like, you know what, screw this shit. I was off put by all of that. So I was like, I'm not gonna eat any meat for a while. I want to look into this a little bit more. And as I was looking into it more and more, it lasted about 3 months basically, but I kind of started discovering that Australia's practices, how we grow the meat and how we process all that stuff. It's a lot better than America. America, that's where the documentary was based upon. America is crazy, man. Like what they do is crazy. Australia is a lot better. So then I kind of came back to it. Actually, when I went back to the gym is when I started eating meat again. I remember that first day after 3-4 months of no training. This is some 12 years ago now. I went back to the gym. I was dizzy, man. Like I remember I tried to squat, and I wasn't a good squatter back then at all. Like, squatting like 40 kilos or something, whatever I was doing. I wasn't really, good at all. Dizzy, just could not freaking, short of breath. I was just probably, in a deficit of all the freaking nutrition. I was probably anemic, I probably wasn't eating enough iron. I wasn't getting enough. My hemoglobin was probably low. I was skinny. I was like 78, 79 kilos, 80 kilos, something like that. I was skinny, lethargic. Ooh. My dad always used to say to me, even that during that period, he was like, man, if you want to work hard, if you want to do heavy work, like he used the reference of, you know, his dad, him and his dad and him going into the forest to cut trees down back in the village. He's like, we can't wake up that morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and eat cereal. And they go walk 10 kilometers into the forest, cut down these trees, put them on the trailer or whatever, and then go back on a bowl of cereal. That shit not gonna happen. If you want to live a life with hard labor, heavy exertion, you're gonna have to eat shit like this. You're gonna have to eat lots of fat, lots of protein, lots of carbs, lots of fat. He always used to say fat, because that's gonna sustain you to, you know, do this stuff. If you're, you know, an office worker and you're sitting there all day and this is your exertion, you sit there and you're like, if that's the extent of your existence, sure, have 3 bowls of cereal every day and you'll be set. But if you want to be a freaking physical animal, if you want to be in the forest cutting trees down, exertion shit, you need to put the fuel in, dude. There's no two ways about it. Like, what are we talking about? You wanna lift 180 kilos or 20 off a bowl of cereal? Come on, man. What are we talking about here? You're gonna have to eat some heavy shit. That's the way it goes. You eat big, you get strong, and that's it. It's a very simple thing, but guys try to complicate it a bit more than it should be. Oh, Miz, Hawaii, man. Very rare. I mean, the gym that I go to, I mean, I haven't been for a while, but the gyms that I go to here, you rarely see it. Rarely see it. I do have to point out, though, the vast majority of people that go to the gym who are serious about training, they're into bodybuilding. So they're into like a completely different method of training. They want the pump, they want to be big, you know, all that. That's kind of like what I've experienced to be the most prevalent inspiration for people. They want to get big muscles. And so, you know, if you're constantly just in the machines and looking for pumps, you're not going to get strong. And so people go in, I feel, with the wrong objective initially, and that objective being to get big rather than get strong. And so that's why we never see 4-plate squats, rarely. The only people that really do it is the people that come in, they're like, I'm a powerlifter, I'm a strong man, I want to get strong. These are the people that actually end up being strong and squatting 4 plates for reps or whatever. That's how I have kind of observed it over the years. I've seen guys, like I saw one guy box squatting 290 of a high box, like very, very high box, probably like 19-inch box. But he himself was like 6'5", something like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. He probably weighed 120, 130 kilos. Big dude, right? But clearly, he was strong. Big guy with lots of strength. That's probably the best squat I've seen in the gym. Yeah. And he looked like he was on all sorts of supplements. All sorts. He was a big unit. But I think that the whole, like, deadlifts are much more frequent. You see the people deadlifting this amount of weight more often. But I think squats are tricky because it's a lot of weight on the bar. And where's the end of it? You know, the bottom of the squat is not supported like a deadlift. The bottom of the deadlift, you hit the ground. And so people get in trouble with their lower back stability, mobility, strength, at that end range of motion, so they get hurt. So squats over the years have kind of developed a reputation of hurting people because they don't have the control at the bottom. So if you're a parallel squatter and you continuously parallel squatting, low bar, high bar, whatever you're doing, and then you have that one rep that you just by chance you go a little bit deeper than you're comfortable in, and you have some decent weight on your back, all of a sudden you're in a red zone and you can hurt yourself. And that's how people hurt themselves. Because yeah, I can handle freaking 260 kilos for a quarter rep. That's cool. But what if I take that thing to parallel? Oh shit, now I'm in trouble. Now I can start making all sorts of compensations and I get injured. But with the deadlift, if it doesn't come off the ground, it doesn't come off the ground. That's it. But with the squat, you start off with the top end, then you have to go down to the eccentric. So just the virtue of how the exercise is done, people get in trouble. So this is why even the strong people in the gym that you see who are into bodybuilding, they don't like squatting heavy because of the fear of injury. Whereas I'm pretty sure there's bodybuilders out there that are very, very strong, and they show it to you through the deadlift or through the bench press, because there's mechanisms of safety there. Squatting, you like the bar's on you, and there's no stopper at the end, unless you're squatting ATG. If you're squatting ATG with confidence, then there is no risk of going below ATG. Like once you hit ATG, you're there. But that's, if this channel was bodybuilding, I'll probably have more subscribers and more interest. Bodybuilding is something that, like aesthetics, sexiness, sex sells, right? So people want to see sexy people. It's just like, it's a freaking core value of the human species. When you see somebody that's attractive, that's attractive. Look at her, look at him. Oh, really cool. But when you see somebody strong, you're like, whatever. Maybe that used to be a thing, like much more prevalent back when strength was more needed in society. But now, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's guns, there's knives, there's all sorts of things. I don't want to be strong. What's the point? Just to lift the fridge, blah, blah, blah. So the common casual gym goer is always going to be like, wow, look at that guy. He's a freaking monster, So, most people come into the gym, they get their gym membership and they're like, oh, all right, I want to put on a slab of meat here, and then I'm set. And then you walk out. No one, I'm not saying no one, I'm just talking about in relativity here. Most people that go to the gym, they're like, I want to look big, imposing, shredded, or whatever, get that girl, whatever the fallacies are. Like, guys think that getting bigger is going to get you a girl or whatever. I've got a girl, I've known many girls in the past, and I work with girls, and everyone says, dude, girls don't give a shit about that, man. As long as you're not fat gut hanging out and unhealthy, girls don't care about that, man. They don't want a bodybuilder. Like, no girl, I reckon if you did a survey, 99% of the girls out in the community, if you showed them Ronnie Coleman at peak, Jay Cutler, Schwarzenegger, you name it, they're gonna be like, ew, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. But yeah, here we are, guys, obsessing over bodybuilding. You don't need that level. You just need to be slimmer, a nice percentage of body fat. In my opinion, most guys are already nearly there. Most of us probably that are watching this, that are in this chat, we're probably already there. So if you're already there, why is the motivation to pick up that girl? You already got it. It takes very little time, depending on what your starting position is. If you're freaking 40 kilos overweight, that's a different thing, obviously. But so you look like a normal dude, so just get stronger. That's how I see it, man. Because strength is always you've already reached the peak physical form for the female. You're already there, so just freaking get stronger. I don't understand, Oh, Nico, thank you, man. Thank you for the coffee, dude. Appreciate it, man. But this is very, very individual, and people can do whatever. Whatever motivates you, dude. Whatever, does not matter. Just get to the work. But that's how I've processed it. And I've kind of noticed that as I've gone through the ages of 20s and then into my 30s, I noticed that I started having different perspectives in life and whatnot. Number one, I'm never in situations anymore. I don't go clubbing. I don't hang around in pubs anymore. I've got 3 kids at home, a wife. Our life is completely different now. But maybe if I was going out and I want to be imposing, so no one wants to mess around with me, so I stand there like this, and so I show off all the other males, all the other alpha males around me that You don't want to mess around with me, man. Look at the size of me. You know, right? I'm freaking alpha in this room. Maybe back then, like, I had those thoughts. But then, like, I remember some 20 years ago or whatever, when UFC started coming out. And so UFC, for me, was interesting at the start because it was like, okay, let's see who's the best fighter. And the best fighters are not the dudes that are jacked. The jacked guys can't last a minute, man. The best freaking fighters are usually guys that are looking like you and me, like skinny ass. Not that I'm skinny, but like guys that are just skinny, you know. Teach that guy wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking, boxing, let's say. That's a weapon, man. Not a guy that sits there with traps like this. What's he gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? You know, so it's like, okay, the chicks don't like the big, massive guy. You can't fight when you're big and massive. What are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing? The girls don't like you being jacked and on steroids with freaking traps going to your ears. You can't fight for shit. You can't even protect your girl if he gets into a fight. What are we doing here, man? Like, what? Like, why are you doing this? You're getting liver disease. You're getting heart failure. You're getting kidney failure. You're getting atherosclerosis. You're getting the risk of strokes. You're risking of diabetes. You're blowing out your pancreas. What are we doing? Why are you taking the steroids? For what freaking reason, man? I do not understand it, but here we are. The Fallen Foe, thank you so much for this, man. This channel made me start lifting heavy about 2 years ago. Love from Queensland. That means a lot to me, dude. It really, really does to see feedback like this and to see that I've actually impacted somebody like this. Means a lot to me, man. Like I often get messages. This is how long this channel has been going. Guys are like, man, I started watching in year 12 and now I finished my 3-year degree and you're still lifting it. You've been an inspiration to me, not just for lifting, but also for studying. Like if Ivan can squat every day, I can study every day. Things like this really do mean a lot to me. You know, it's not about how many views I get or freaking subscribers or whatever. Like 120 subscribers, 120,000 people that watch me. It's just an arbitrary number. But like what I keep account of is these type of interactions. When somebody like reaches out, is like, hey man, you've made a difference to me, man. Like I you know, that really means a lot to me. So appreciate you for that, man. It's a really good feeling. You know, me and my cameraman, we've spoken about this a long time ago, and continuously when we remember it. You know, after a little while, let's say, you know, I go on for another 10 years of staying on YouTube or 5 years or whatever, and I'm doing my thing. Maybe at the start of my journey, there was a 12-year-old guy, 13, 14-year-old guy that saw my channel and that saw my consistency over the span of 3, 4, 5 years. And he was like, shit, like, I see this is, you know, if Ivan can do it, I can do it. Like my dream, like, not my dream, but like, it would be really, really cool if one of these guys that watched me come up and they play for like a top flight sports team, NFL, NBA, English Premier League, any of these, and like they say, you know, and the question to them is, you know, what motivated you? And they're like, man, I saw this one guy, Ivan Djuric, man, he showed me that you can train every day, you can get after your dreams every day. And that kind of put me into gear, like that kind of stuff. These are the kinds of things that like we forget that real people matter. That to me is really, really cool. You know, because I have influences, and we live in social media age. Obviously, the influences are much wider. But like I remember certain teachers in my life that have said things to me like, Ivan, you're not going to amount to anything. You're probably going to be a rubbish truck driver. You don't have focus. You're not going to do well. These kinds of things. I remember those interactions very, very well when I was in year 8, year 9. Basically, adults shitting on top of me. You know, I was the kid that used to take a basketball to school, carry it from class to class, to the bus, to the second bus, 2 buses from school. I was dribble at the bus stop, dribble as I'm walking, dribble. And this particular teacher walked up to me one day for chemistry, and he was like, enough with this basketball. And he pushed me, like he pushed me by the head. He pushed my head, took the basketball, and he threw it at me. He was like, get that basketball out of here, whatever. And later on, he kind of apologized because he thought he was going to get into trouble for doing this. But he blew out at me because I had a dream as a kid to carry this basketball and to go on and to do things. But I'll never forget that interaction. You know, he's never going to know this. He doesn't know who I am anymore, whatever. I've moved on. But these interactions earlier in your life, like between the ages of, let's say, 12 and 20, it's weird how certain things get ingrained into your head. And this teacher, like, I think about him quite often. Like, it's really weird. Like, for him, he probably has forgotten about it and moved on with his life or whatever. But for me, it was like, yeah, man. He said I've got nothing, man. I'm gonna be a garbage truck driver and whatever. But all I wanted to do is be like AI. I wanted to dribble on top of the key and cross Jordan over and pull up for a J. And me holding that ball every day, I had a dream. And he took that shit and he was like, basically said to me, let go of this fallacy dream and start studying chemistry so you can make a good 9-to-5 worker kind of thing. He was kind of like tried to shatter my dream, you know. And even though I'm a white kid in Australia, backwaters of the world, backwaters of the backwaters, Adelaide in Australia, you know, I was playing Division 1 at the time or whatever, but like it wasn't, you know, what are the chances of me making the NBA, right? Like, anyway, it's funny. And so like when I get, you know, messages like this, they're really kind of, you know, it means a lot that I've had a positive impact on somebody. Miz, man, you're a machine. Thank you so much for the support again, man. You are an absolute machine. You support me. You're even a moderator for me now in these chats, so appreciate you, dude. I'm a nurse. I work as a nurse in a hospital in the emergency department. That's what I do, man. Big reveal. Yeah. I forgot to eat, man. Hi, Dixie. And this is not to go on about beat a dead horse, but you know, well, sound like boring now, but this is why I have the opinion of certain influences bothering me. Like, when you're 20, you don't realize some of these things. But when you have a kid, a second kid, a third kid, or whatever, how many kids you got, when you become a parent, the kids go to school and they start bringing back certain attitudes, certain thoughts, certain ideas. You quickly start to understand the impact of influence. So when you are an influencer with 1 million subscribers and every video they release you got 1 million views, there is power there that you hold, which I'm sure most of them don't give a shit. They just care about the money that comes in as a result of the views. But there is power there. And the old cliche thing of with power comes responsibility. That is true. And I don't think people understand how true that is until they become a parent. So I send my kid to school. The teachers influence him. They are his influences. The parents that of the kids that he hangs around with also have some sort of influence through their children. So, you know, before he went to school, the influence was mostly me and my wife and the grandparents and his cousins, like that kind of thing. But now, like, he's introducing different thoughts into the families. And I'm like, you didn't get that from our circle, man. From my circle of influence, you didn't get that from. Where'd you get that from? Let's sit down and talk about this. What are your thoughts about this? Who told you this stuff? So now I feel like my ideas are being infiltrated. The impurity of the world, let's say the evil of the world, is now making its way into my household. And I'm here trying to defend it. Defend the ideas, the ethics, the moral. So if you are an influencer and you have more influence than just your immediate family or your couple of kids, and you now have 1 million viewers. And if these 1 million viewers see you as cool, you are a cool individual to them. Whatever a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old finds cool, let's say a Ferrari, a Lambo, a hot chick, 10 hot chicks, a mansion, success, clout, fame. Why do youngsters love fame? But anyway, you've got the fame, right? You've got the fame, and all the youngsters are like, fuck, man, he's so cool. I wish I could rock up to a party and all the chicks come to me. All the boys are like my homies. What's up, man? What's going on, man? Fuck, you're the best. Youngsters seem to love fame, right? But let's say you've got that shit. And then you sit down here and you're like, do drugs, steal, kill. Maybe you've got a microphone and you've got a sick beat and a chick that's hanging her ass out and tits out, and you start rapping about stealing, killing, homicide. Yeah, wow. Oh yeah, I'm sitting there listening to NWA. I'm sitting there, Snoop, Eminem, Dr. Dre. I'm like, fuck yeah, bitch is this, bitch is that. Has an impact on you, has an influence on you. Without you even knowing, this person is teaching you subconsciously of what's going on. So you're getting impacted. This is why I speak out against something. I try really, really not to, because I want to stay in my lane. But those thoughts about staying in my lane get thrown out of the window when I send my kids to school and my kid comes home with a certain idea and I'm like, that is disgusting, that's rubbish. And then I'm like, okay, so I need to try and not only influence my family, my home, I need to start influencing the community, because my son is growing up in the community, not just in my household. So then I start getting more interested in about not just my household, but my community. What's happening in the community? One of the communities that I have is the Squat Everyday community. I have people that watch me and follow me about Squat Everyday. Do I have a responsibility? Do I have a responsibility to call out bullshit when it comes up? Do I have a responsibility to voice my opinion about certain influences of the community? Right? So do I sit by that and be like, yeah, let's feed that fire and really, because he's got clout, let me try and get in his circle so I get clout as well. But I don't agree with that messaging. I don't agree with sending, my son coming up to me and is like, Dad, I want to start doing drugs at the age of 16. That's a problem. But where did he get that idea? Well, all the influences in the world right now are talking about drugs, enhancing. Do we have a responsibility? I think we do. So and that's, but you see it, right? Like if you just search the web right now and see what's most popular. It's interesting. It's just interesting what happens. And sometimes I sit back and I'm like, it's interesting how certain individuals over here are not popular at all, but they're teaching purity, they're teaching good lessons, they're teaching really good stuff. These people I feel like should be followed, but no, these guys over here are followed, who are about the wrong things in life. That saddens me. When I go around social media and I see somebody that's speaking well and recommending good ideas, and I see he's got like 10 views, I'm like, shit. Selling good is very hard, man. Selling bad is very good. It goes crazy. You'll be a millionaire. Anyway, all those ideas. But anyway, it's philosophical and political right now, so it's hard. Do I attend church being from Eastern European? What is your opinion on Orthodoxy? I grew up an Orthodox Christian, man. I'm Orthodox the first 14, 15 years of my life. Always at the church, most Sundays. Grew up in that kind of community of Serbian people here in Adelaide. So, But around that time, I started questioning religion itself. I don't know, dude. The older I get, the more of a skeptic I am. There's shit everywhere, dude. Even people that are posing as to be priests and imams. Don't get it twisted, man. Some of these people are evil, more evil than a regular person, a regular evil person. So I don't know, dude. If you start reading history, it's very, 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 very difficult to look at religion in a positive light. I find it very difficult. Religion to an uneducated populace is an easier sell. But when the populace becomes well versed in history and you understand what's happened in times before your time, it becomes very, very difficult for me to go to a church and hand over my money and then watch that priest drive home in a Mercedes Benz. It becomes very, 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 very difficult for me to believe in religion. I believe in God. Don't get that twisted. I believe in God, but I do not believe in religion. Most, I would say, nearly all religions have a really, really close affinity to politics and to power, control. That's the true purpose of religion, I think, ever since it came into existence. It wasn't about anything other than control. Let's try and save this Roman Empire. Let's tell them about the mighty old guy that's going to come and smack you on the butt if you don't listen. We have control of the populace. Now, because religion is becoming less sexy, they're using other means to control the populace. There's other ways that they can achieve control of the populace, but there are certain things that I see, and this is the thing, like the more you live, the more you kind of know and you have contrast, the more you start to kind of realize there are very, very few people at the top with lots and lots of power, and their only interest is to maintain that power. How do you maintain that power? You need control of the populace. How do you do that? Oh, you can have politics, you can have religion, you can have social media, you can have censorship, you can have lots of different things. So it's tricky. It's tricky. I don't know where I stand. Like some days I have thoughts about reading the Bible, the Quran, like all the texts, and other times I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like I'm lost when it comes to religion. I don't have a formed opinion on it 100%. Because there's so much freaking blood on their hands, man. There's so much. Just read history and you're like, fuck those guys, man. The crusades, the jihads, the massacring, and then the priest comes and does some shit to you, and all of a sudden you're cleansed after you freaking wiped the whole village, burn the babies, burn the wives, burn the mothers, everyone's dead. And then you go to the Pope, and the Pope's like, oh, all of a sudden you walk out, you're clean. Fuck that. It's a devil walking the damn earth with some other devil cleansing him. That's what goes on around this world, man. The church is like oh yeah, I'll just go to the church every Sunday while I do bad business and cheat and you know, church has got nothing to do with a lot of the shit that we supposedly read in the book. It's just power, dude. It's power. Anyway, you can see where I'm coming from. I've got a bad taste in my mouth, dude. I came from Yugoslavia, dude. A bunch of retards got together and decided there was going to be a war. Croatian on this side of my house, or Bosnian on this side of the house. The day before we had a barbecue, we're chilling out. Yeah, what's going on, man? You can use my tractor, I'll use your wheelbarrow. Yeah, no worries, we're all cool. We've got different religions, but no one gives a fuck. We're here, we're good people, right? You know, I respect you. Everyone respects everyone. Next minute, the fucking bloke comes up on the TV and is like, right, war, boom, boom, marching, bombing, fucking everything's going on. All of a sudden, this guy's looking at me with a stink eye. This guy's looking at me with a stink eye. All of a sudden, fuck, I'm on the front line shooting my guy. But we're neighbors, man. Well, fuck that. We've got to shoot each other. How do we get to this shit? Oh, look at this. Ivan's now in Australia. Yeah, that's how well that went. Refugee, get the fuck out of there. Boom. In Australia. I'm in Adelaide now. To my glorious religious people. 3 fucking religions. 3 different texts. 3 really religious people. But the moment somebody said, go, fucking guns out. Let's go killing. Let's go killing, boys. That's what religion is. It's a divisive tool. It's division. And with division becomes control. That's what I think is going on, man. It is a evil world. Man, don't get me into this shit, man. Like, if you just look at the Pope in the Vatican, man. Tell me about the Vatican. The Vatican. The Queen. Coronation of the Queen. She's sitting there with a freaking thing. And a stone the size of my damn head is on the top of that freaking staff. Where's that from? Oh, from Africa. Oh, tell me about Africa. How come Africa didn't keep that stone? Tell me about the Commonwealth. Tell me about how did they become so freaking powerful and rich. And the reason she's got that stone is because there's starving kids in Africa, right? The Africa is a mine for the world. Who cares about black people? Let's just make war, get them to civil war, and then we throw in our international companies to mine that shit for free. And then we send it off to the queen and she'll make, trillions, and then she'll sit there and everyone's like, oh, holy queen, fuck off. There's an empire, and the empires have kind of been shifting left to right over the last 400, 500, 600 years. But these people are here to screw us over. And if you think that politics is completely divorced from religion, I really, really advise you to take your blinkers off and look closely. Who said, let's march to Jerusalem and paint it red? Who did that? Who initiated the Crusades? Aha. Top bloke in charge said, fucking let's go, let's fuck him up. That's who. So all of his ancestors of the popes, and the Orthodox are not any better. The Muslims are not any better. They're all fucking in the same shit. These are the people that are ordering millions of people to their death through history. Millions. And at the end of it, we sit down, we get on their knees and we kiss their hands, kiss their knees. We kiss everything for their blessings. And he's the one that got us in the shit anyway. That's my trouble with religion. That's my trouble. I believe in God. And after that, I don't know. I'm a skeptic on many, many fronts. Because I've been through too much. I've seen too much. I've read too much to think otherwise. Yeah, they sacked Constantinople. Anthony Nicholas, the fact that you said that intrigues me. You know, Anthony, I don't know which way you want to take the conversation, but I've got some really, really religious people in my family, both Catholics and Orthodox. And, very, very friendly. We see them like weekly type of thing. And every chance I get, when we have a moment over a beer, we talk about this stuff. And they try to show me the light of Jesus, the light of whoever. I can't like, I believe in God. I wanna stress that. But I can't get over it, dude. There's been too many people in power in these religious institutions to abuse it. Zay, yo, that's it. Jamie, I feel you, man. I really feel you. I'm lost. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know which way to go. Sometimes I think that it would be better if I didn't know any of this stuff. And I just blindly followed a religious cult. And all the decisions were made for me. I reckon I'd be happier. But the moment you unplug and you start to think, you have a free mind, misery, dude. It's misery, and you don't, like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Far from it, man. I just sit here sometimes and I think to myself, and it's just like, the hell are we doing, dude? What are we doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Do I christen my kids? Do I not christen my kids? Where do I go? What do I do? What's going on? It's hard, man. And now that I have kids, I have to make some of these tough decisions. What do I do? What do you do? When it's just concerning you, it's easy, man. But when you have a family and you have to make certain decisions, what do you do? What do you stand on? Which hill do you stand on? What do you protect? Pravoslavlje ili smrt, Ivane? Tako sam i ja mislio, Nikola. Tako sam ja mislio. Ja sam pravoslavac. Ali za dalje ne znam, majke mi ne znam. Ne znam, jel smo mi u pravu, jel su oni u pravu, stvarno ne znam šta se događa. Oh yeah, so that's a really interesting cue. Obviously I'm around death a lot. I put lots of people in body bags, and maybe that's had an impact on me a lot as well. Seeing death, seeing suffering, seeing terminal phases of illness, seeing people go. Like most people only get exposed to that stuff when it's their parents, grandparents. But I see that shit on the weekly, man, people dying. And it is always an experience, man. You never see somebody go and you're like, oh, well, move on. No, man, it's always a heavy feeling. The frequency of the room changes. You feel lots of different things. Nothing is measurable. Science is always disappointed. What happens when somebody dies? What's after? Science knows lots of things, but it doesn't know that. So you sit there and you get exposed to the spiritual world. There's a fly flying around. And the spiritual world is something that you can't measure. And so lots of people don't believe it because it's not measurable. But do you really need science to explain everything in your life? Can you rely on spirituality to do some guidance in your life? It's interesting, man. It's interesting. It's almost like a blessing. It's really, really weird, man. It's probably the wrong word, but it's almost a blessing to be in the presence of somebody dying, because they give you, it's almost like you get sent across messages from that. I don't know, like it's always an out of body experience for me. Like I go about my job obviously, but I'm always like deep in thought, and you feel things, and without being part of that experience, you wouldn't have the impact, or the first domino wouldn't fall in you to run through those philosophical thoughts, to question, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I here? I'm gonna be in a box, in a body bag one day too. It's coming. So what am I doing, man? Like, do I want to be doing this shit? Do I need to be here? Do I need to be a nurse? What am I doing? We're all gonna die. And so when you have these thoughts, you're like, fuck. Do I really want to do, like, it's a heavy thing, man. It's a heavy thing. And most people don't expose you to that. Frankly, the most frightening thought would be for me, if I didn't believe in God at all, and I see these people die, and I just think, well, this is it. Nothing else to it. End of the line. This is it. Put them in the body bag, and that's it. I struggle with that. Maybe, I don't know if it's out of fear, or whether it's out of just improbability. The universe is so freaking vast, and you're telling me this person has died, and that is it. And we don't even know the back wall of where the universe is. So you're telling me that this guy's just died and that's it? The soul there's no soul? Are you telling me there's no soul? And that's where I have issues. When my thoughts get to the soul question, nah, I believe there is a soul. And if you believe there's a soul, that there must be a God. And then we start talking and you start to kind of believe. Yeah, Anthony, sorry, man. These are the only questions that really matter in life. But we get distracted a lot. But yeah, sorry, you need to go to sleep with all those thoughts. But yeah, trust me, I wrestle with some of these thoughts a lot. Yeah, you see the lights go out in a way. It's a powerful thing, man. Like I don't know. It's also really weird that we have so many people around us, but the majority of people don't get exposed to death until it's their immediate family. Whereas, back 400, 500, 600 years ago, death was like right in front of you. For one, there was wars every day. Like, it was like, there's a pile of people everywhere, you know. But now there's vast like expanses of the world that don't get any exposure, and they never think about these things. I reckon if the average man was exposed to death on a daily, not a daily basis, but like a more frequent basis through some form, I don't know, they would live their life differently. I really think that, because it's such power. It's the ultimate certainty. Like, you get born and you also die. That's those two things happen for sure. And then after that, I don't know, man. Like, sometimes I don't think we're supposed to know. I don't think this computer up here is supposed to connect some of these dots. It's impossible. You're not supposed to know the answers to some of these things. Yeah, you know. Yeah. And that line right there, that makes me happy. It makes me happy. The soul goes on. The body goes back to earth. The nutrients and everything else that's part of it fertilizes the next floor of crop that's around it, and that's it. So the soul has come down to the planet and has entered a organized body, used the body for X amount of years, used it as a vessel, and then it goes on. Yeah. Yeah. And taxes. That's right. It's the three truths. Yeah. Born, dying, and taxes. Yeah. Birth, death, taxes. Interesting. All right, boys, you know what time it is? After a hearty meal like this, there's one thing I want to do now. One thing. Who can guess what I'm gonna get now? It's food. I want to get some food. What am I gonna go get now? I've got the oily taste in my mouth now from the pasta. What can I eat right now? What do I love? No. What's my favorite fruit? No. Watermelon. All right, let me get some watermelon. I'll be back. Watermelon. Where's the watermelon? Where's the watermelon? Where's the watermelon? There's the watermelon. Ah. Man, I get so excited for watermelon. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm like chronically dehydrated. And every time I see this, I'm like, oh my lord. All right. So this is brand new, fellas. It will help with our philosophical thoughts. So, this is my favorite bit. You just unzip it. It's like taking the underwear off your woman. Hopefully you don't take it off with a knife. That's kind of weird, but that's nice. Look at that. Oh, that's a shit knife. Yeah, buddy. And then you just peel it back. Oh god, that's a really shit knife. Ooh. Look at that. Man, if anyone out there is a watermelon farmer, please sponsor me. Please provide me watermelons for the rest of my life. Because that is something that I will push. I'm sure there's somebody out there. Ooh, I've got a capsule for watermelon. It gives you all the capsule. It's a supplement watermelon capsule. And then the first cut, bang. Second cut. I don't know why, but I love this shit. Look at this. Boys, boys, boys. How good, huh? Raphael, I think there's a lot of us that are conflicted. You know, one thought that comes into my mind all the time is like, you know how you see these people blocking the streets, protesting against oil companies and all that stuff. And I see them like, there was somebody here recently, was it here in Sydney or somewhere? Rented out a truck, went to a highway, blocked the highway, got out, oh, no oil, stop oil, blah, 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 renewable energy, all this stuff. And somebody that was trying to pass was a lady on the way to hospital in labor, unable to get to hospital. She had to deliver her kid, I think that was the story, in the car. But this person that's protesting doesn't give a shit about that, right? I don't care if somebody dies. It's about the oil. Cool. You feel very strongly about that. But you can't complain. This is a thought that I have. You can't complain about a certain thing without offering an alternative. There is no alternative. How do we sustain ourselves without oil? Oh, renewable energy. Renewable energy for what? Like, I don't understand it. Like, okay, I would love to go without oil, but there is not enough lithium in the damn or soil in the damn earth that everyone gets a massive battery for a car to drive in. How does a truck get from Adelaide to Perth off a battery charge? Right, so some of these things, like, how is this made? How do you make this? How do you make, you know, so I get it. We need to find a better thing, but I don't think batteries are there yet. So I always think like, I don't know. That's kind of how I that's the conflict that I have. Sure, oil is bad for the world, but what, like, how do we 100% replace it? I don't know. And not to say that I'm an expert in any of this, or do I feel strongly either way, but I feel like you're stopping somebody from having their best moment in their life, having a child. You've made their life completely worse. How are you any different to the person that's blowing up people in the Middle East? Some extreme guy who's just like, nah, it's this way or death. He does that. How are you any different blocking the society with that truck? You've just made potentially a life impacting. Maybe that baby had a complication or something. Maybe that baby would have died because they didn't have access to healthcare because you're spewing some shit about your thoughts. It's like the extremism is they're both the same. So there's conflict with a lot of these things, and I'm not sitting here to say that I have the solutions. It's just I sit here sometimes and I'm like, I don't know, like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I don't know. And then with you guys know that I'm very prone to overthinking, and that's just my personality. I'm very much prone to overthinking. I'm that person. I sit there and then you have stagnation because you can't go left, you can't go right, you don't know anything, you're confused, and you just stay in one spot. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, look at that. This is what I see on the screen. I've got the pop-up window for you guys. And then I click here, right behind, boom, 300. It's a completely different brain frequency when you think about this stuff. And all of a sudden, I've forgotten about all the things that I've ever said about it. And I'm like, cool, look at that. When I get to 180 for 20, I'll be able to score 300. Yeah, it's inaccurate, but okay, it's a good start. Either you do 300 single or you do 200 for 180 for 20. Crazy, huh? Crazy stuff. This is the beauty of training. It's like a separate world. Some people do weed. I'll go to the gym, I'll go to the garage and I train, and I'm like, fuck. Let's think about a different problem that doesn't impact anyone. This problem is my little problem. It's my little puzzle. Oh yeah, no doubt, miss. It's probably way off, but it's at least gives you like an indicator. At least gives you a ballpark figure. Yeah, radim svaki dan, squat every day. Yeah, još radim. No doubt. Perfectly said. Until you do the 1RM, you're not gonna know what what your 1RM is. Jel ideš ikako na vacation, kako tamo onda radiš? This question of vacation comes up a lot. I don't understand, like, everyone is kind of expecting to go to a vacation every single year, twice a year. It's like a norm in the Western world. I guess even in the Eastern world, everyone's always thinking about going, traveling, vacations, all that stuff. I'm not big on that. I'm really not big on that. I'm not big about running around the world seeing sights. I'd rather build where I am, build the home where I am, make my life, current life, every day where I am. I'm about the journey, not the destination. I keep saying that. So over the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't gone on a holiday at all. I lie. We've had one, maybe like a few months before the Squad Everyday Journey started. We went on a holiday, I think. Yeah, like maybe 6 months before that, we went on a holiday. And then since then we haven't. And people are like, oh my God, that's so bad. No, it's not. You know, we've bought a house, we've had a kid, we've got 3 young kids, 3 kids under 7. We've done lots of different things. I mean, I don't want to tell you the private stuff about what's going on, but I've been very, very busy. We've been building our life. Now, a lot of people are like, your life is shit until you go on a holiday. I don't value that. I don't value spending all this money to go to a different country and walk around. Walk around. I can walk here. The most joy that I feel is having free time. So I could be working 6 days a week to save up for a crazy holiday to go to Europe at the end of the year for a month. Or I cannot use that time at work right now and spend more time with my growing family. Now, what's more important? Working really, really hard, not spending any time with my family because I'm too busy working, and then going on a holiday at the end of the year, or not working really, really hard for that holiday, but actually seeing my kids grow up and trying to minimize the amount of time I work in a week. That's where the value for me is. A lot of people get twisted. They're like, oh, but you haven't been on a holiday. Dude, I'm on a holiday every single day. I see my kids every single day. I try to prioritize. I don't work too much. I try to do all these different things so I can be around every single day. So this idea about vacations, dude, you do you, and everyone's different. But I do not want to spend $30,000 to go to Europe for a month, or $20,000, or whatever the hell it is, $15,000 to go to Europe for a month. Do you know how much time I need to sell my time to earn $15,000 to take a family of 5 to Europe? I would rather not sell my time and give that time to my children. My children don't give a shit about no holiday. They want to see their dad more. That's what they want. They want to see their dad more. And anyone that has a kid, they will probably tell you they don't give a shit about gifts. The greatest gift you can give to somebody is your time. And when you're saving up for that holiday, just understand that you are selling your time. Remember how we spoke about death and dying and being born and death and taxes? Every hour that you work, you're selling your time for that money. Then you take that money and you give it to another country, some cafe, some hotel or whatever, so you can see some other part of the world. What are you running away from? I just wonder, I'm not telling you how to live. There's many different philosophies about life and people value all sorts of different things. Me, I would rather work less, enjoy my life with my family more, then work more, and then take my family on a holiday. Holidays will come later on when my kids grow up a little bit, but I'm not going to be sacrificing my time with my children so I can take them on a holiday. I think the greatest gift you can give somebody, and once again I tell you, is your time. These people that work 60, 70-hour weeks so they go on a holiday at the end of the year, I think they're truly, truly getting sucked into by the marketing, by the propaganda at large. Because you are selling your time. In the first 5 years of a child's life, a child is 0 to 4 years old. After that, they start to break away from you. I've got 3 kids. I know when my son turned 4, he was just like, I'm going to start going to school, blah, blah, blah. I don't see my son that much anymore. He's going to school for the entire day today. When he comes back, I'm going to see him. But what if I did a late shift? I've got a day off today. Just do a late shift. Get some more money, man. Money, money, money. Look, this is my life and how I live my life. I'm not telling you my life is for everyone. Definitely not. But me and my partner, we sat down and we worked out exactly how we were going to live our life, how we're going to plan our life. We're happy. And I think spending your time with your family is utterly the most important thing. And right now, we are not valuing traveling at all. We've bought a house. We've renovated the house. We've bought a car. We've had 3 kids in 7 years. We've been very, very busy, and we're happy. This is how we live our life. Now, there are many different sectors in this life, in this world, that want your money. Just understand that time is money. Time is money. And time is the greatest resource we have. That right there is everything you need to know. So if you value spending your time for cheap, I mean, I don't know how much you value yourself, but I reckon they're paying me cheap. So I sell myself for cheap to buy high, to go to Europe at a very, very expensive clip. I think that's a bad deal. Now, when my kids are 10, 8, 6, 5, something like that, whatever the spread's going to be, maybe then it's a good time to go. Maybe. But let's see how it's going to be then. I mean, the hardest part of a mortgage is the first 5-10 years. Funnily enough, you have your kids the first 5-10 years, right, of that mortgage. So it all piles up. And I don't know whether you guys know about house pricing, but I've got a big ass mortgage. I'm not a millionaire. If I had ample money and I don't have to work, sure, fuck, let's go everywhere. But I don't have a lot of money, man. So do I work 6 days a week to make that holiday happen? Or do I work 4 days a week and spend more time with my children? And remember, the first 5 years, your kids are young. After that, they'll leave the nest pretty much and they go about. So that's the explanation. I get it all the time. Ivan, why haven't you had a holiday? Dude, I am on a holiday. I've got kids with me every single day. That to me is a holy, holy day. The holy day is today. The holy day is not in Bangladesh or in Bangkok. No. The holy day is today for me. That's how I live my life. Every single day I want to make it holy. But, whatever. There's many people, out there. People go hot and cold. Okay. First 10 months, fucking hell. 7 days a week, work. And then 2 months, full relaxation, whatever. Each their own, I guess. Both me and my partner, we don't care about money. We care about time. And so, yeah, she could be working 4 or 5 days a week as well. And, we could both not see our kids grow up, but nah, that's not going to happen. She's going to work a few days. I'm going to work a few more days. And we're going to try and maximize the time we have these kids. Man, this is a good watermelon. How can you not have a holiday when you're eating watermelon like this? Freaking legendary. I'm stuffed. All right, boys, should we call it here? I've done an hour and a half of freaking eating and talking. Lots of talking. But I reckon we'll call it quits here. What do you guys reckon? Enough for today. There's 48 of you guys here. Lots of people. Appreciate you guys like always, man. It's really cool to have that many people chill out with me like this. Really, really cool. Love you guys too. The fact that there's 48 guys still here after all that talk that I did, that means some of you guys agree with some of my stuff. Or my opinions. And we all have different opinions. You're not going to find my own brother I have arguments with over lots of different things. So my own brother. we fight. So we're all gonna have disagreement. We're not gonna find anyone that agrees with absolutely everything you say. That's for sure. All right, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. For now, peace out. Later, guys. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.